Hi, everyone. I'm Emily, and I'm so excited to share some of my recent culinary adventures with you all today. Thanks for tuning in. Recently, I had a bit of a cooking dilemma while preparing a special dish for a community potluck. I was making a honey-glazed roasted vegetable medley, which is one of my go-to dishes for gatherings. It's a simple yet flavorful dish where the sweetness of the honey perfectly complements the roasted vegetables, bringing out their natural flavors. The potluck was part of a local event celebrating the harvest season, and I wanted to create something that would showcase the beautiful produce we have here in Washington. Honey plays a crucial role in this dish, not just as a sweetener, but also as a glaze that adds a lovely caramelized finish to the vegetables. As I was preparing the dish, I realized I was running low on honey, a key ingredient. Honey is such a versatile and treasured ingredient in my kitchen, especially here in Washington, where the local varieties have a unique flavor profile thanks to our diverse flora. I use honey in everything from salad dressings to baked goods, and it's particularly popular in our region because of its natural sweetness and health benefits. Faced with this shortage, I had to get creative. I decided to infuse the little honey I had left with some fresh herbs from my garden, thyme and rosemary. By gently heating the honey with these herbs, I was able to enhance its flavor and stretch it further. The herb-infused honey added a beautiful depth to the dish, giving it an aromatic twist that everyone loved. It was a bit of a gamble, but the results were even better than I expected. The herbaceous notes paired wonderfully with the roasted vegetables, and the dish became a hit at the potluck.
Wow, Emily, that sounds like such a clever solution. The idea of infusing the honey with herbs to stretch it further is brilliant. How did you come up with that on the spot?
Thanks, Sarah. I think it was a mix of necessity and inspiration from my garden. I'm always experimenting with herbs, so it felt natural to try and elevate the honey's flavor this way.
That's such a great story, Emily. I love how you turned the challenge into an opportunity to create something unique. I'm curious, what kinds of herbs do you usually keep in your garden, and how do they influence your cooking?
Thanks, Jennifer. I grow a variety of herbs. Thyme, rosemary, basil, and sage are my staples. They're my go-to for adding fresh, vibrant flavors to dishes. In this case, the rosemary added a nice earthiness, and the thyme brought a subtle floral note that complemented the sweetness of the honey.
Emily, that dish sounds amazing. I'm impressed by how you handle the honey shortage. Did you find that the herb-infused honey worked just as well in other dishes, or was it something you kept just for this one?
Thanks, Maya. I actually ended up using the leftover herb-infused honey in a few other dishes, like drizzling it over baked brie, and even in a salad dressing. I added a special touch to each one.
I love the creativity, Emily. It just goes to show how resourcefulness can lead to something truly special. Have you thought about using this herb-infused honey as a staple in your kitchen now?
I have, Chloe. It's definitely something I'll keep experimenting with. It's such a simple yet effective way to add complexity to a dish.
Following up on what Emily shared, I think one of the key criteria for purchasing honey is sourcing. Knowing where your honey comes from is so important. In Florida, we have a lot of local beekeepers, and I'd always make sure to buy honey directly from them whenever possible. It's not just about supporting local businesses, it's about knowing that the honey is pure and hasn't been overly processed. Plus, local honey is said to help with allergies, which is a nice bonus. When buying the honey, I always look for labels that specify local origin and minimal processing. It's something I found makes a big difference in both flavor and quality.
That's a great point, Maya. Purity is another critical criterion. Honey can sometimes be mixed with other sweeteners or even watered down, which dilutes its natural benefits. Here in California, I always check the label to ensure it's 100% pure honey with no additives. I love using honey in my baking, especially for things like honey almond granola. Pure honey has such a rich, unadulterated flavor that you just can't replicate with anything else. It's also important to look out for certifications that guarantee its purity.
I agree with both of you. Another thing to consider is floral source. The type of flowers the bees visit greatly influences the honey's flavor profile. For example, in Texas, we have this incredible wildflower honey that has a rich, complex flavor due to the diverse flora in our state. When I buy honey, I always look for the specific floral source on the label. It helps me choose the right honey for the dish I'm preparing. In my experience, wildflower honey is perfect for drizzling over fresh fruits or adding to herbal teas. It's something you should definitely be mindful of when purchasing honey.
Those are all great points. I'd add packaging to the list. It might seem less important, but the way honey is packaged can affect its longevity and usability. I often buy honey in glass jars because they're better for long-term storage and don't impart any unwanted flavors. Plus, they're reusable and more environmentally friendly. In New York, I like to buy honey at the farmer's market, where I can often return the jars for a discount on my next purchase. It's a small detail, but it makes a difference in how fresh your honey stays.
You've all covered such important aspects. Lastly, I think price is a significant criterion, especially when balancing quality and budget. While it's tempting to go for the cheapest option, I've learned that investing in good, quality honey is worth it. In Washington, local artisan honey can be a bit pricier, but the flavor and quality are unmatched. It's especially worth it for dishes where honey is a star ingredient, like in my honey-glazed roasted vegetables. However, it's important to watch out for overpriced honey that doesn't deliver on quality, so always compare prices and quality before purchasing.
Speaking of alternatives to honey, here in California, I often use agave nectar. It's readily available and has a similar sweetness to honey, though it's a bit lighter in flavor. I found it works well in salad dressings and cocktails, but it doesn't quite have the same depth that honey does. Oh, agave is also a bit thinner, so it doesn't coat like honey would in baked goods. However, it's a good option if you're looking for something that dissolves easily in liquids.
That's a great alternative, Sarah. In Texas, I sometimes use sorghum syrup, which is common in southern cooking. It has a rich molasses-like flavor, but it's not as sweet as honey. Sorghum syrup is thicker and has a more robust flavor, which makes it great for drizzling over biscuits or mixing into barbecue sauces. It's definitely different from honey, but it adds a unique twist to dishes. The downside is that it can overpower delicate flavors, so it's best used in hearty, savory recipes.
In New York, one of my go-to alternatives is maple syrup, especially for breakfast dishes. Maple syrup has a distinct flavor that's both sweet and slightly earthy, which makes it a good substitute in pancakes, waffles, and even some desserts. It's thinner than honey, so it doesn't caramelize the same way, but it adds a nice complexity to dishes. I do miss the floral notes that honey brings, though, especially in more delicate recipes.
Down in Florida, I sometimes use cane syrup, which is popular in southern cuisine. Cane syrup is thicker than maple syrup and has a deep, rich sweetness that's a bit more intense than honey. It's perfect for drizzling over cornbread or using in marinades. The main difference is that it lacks the nuanced flavors of honey, which can make a dish feel more one-dimensional. It's a great alternative, but I still prefer honey for its versatility and complexity.
Here in Washington, I've used brown rice syrup as an alternative when honey isn't available. It's not as sweet as honey and has a more subtle, almost nutty flavor. Brown rice syrup is great for baking, especially in granola bars or energy bites, where you want a milder sweetness. However, it doesn't have the same depth or floral complexity as honey, so it's not a perfect substitute in all dishes. I still love honey for its unique flavor and texture, but brown rice syrup works in a pinch. This has been such an insightful discussion. We've covered so much ground regarding honey. Maya highlighted the importance of sourcing, ensuring we know where our honey comes from. Sarah talked about the purity of honey and the need to avoid additives. Jennifer emphasized the significance of the floral source, and Chloe reminded us to consider the packaging, particularly for storage. Finally, I mentioned the importance of balancing price with quality. I'm so grateful to each of you for your contributions and for sharing your expertise and experiences. It's clear that honey is a beloved ingredient in all our kitchens, and I hope our viewers find these insights helpful in their culinary adventures. Thanks so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed our discussion and found it useful. We had a great time sharing our thoughts with you, and we look forward to connecting again soon. Take care and happy cooking.